With me now, Republican Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana. Senator, welcome back. Nice to have you back.
Thank you, Brooke.
All right, so the president, on health care is essentially saying we're going to repeal and replace. And then he says we'll repeal and, if you reelect me a year and a half later, we'll come up with a plan. And so he's tweeting that he has people working on it. Now, a lot of folks, Senator, are calling it whiplash, and you have a penchant for colorful vernacular. What would you call that?
I think waiting is probably good politics, but I'm in the minority on this, but I think it's bad policy.
Which part is bad policy?
The part about not tackling health care. We tried it one time. We failed. This time it's clear we're going to need a bigger boat, which means we're going to need Democratic support. It doesn't give me any joy to say, Brooke, that the Affordable Care Act hasn't worked. We were told that the ACA would give us cheaper health insurance and more accessible health insurance, and it's done neither. We need to either start over or fix it. And I don't think it's going to be any easier if we wait 2 years. Now, I understand.
But Senator, hang on, because, Democrats would point out it has been 9 years since this debate began with Obamacare, and Republicans have yet to come up with a coherent plan. Like, I remember your words from February of this year, 2 words, Obamacare sucks. But,
it does.
But for when you're thinking about the good folks in Louisiana and they're saying to you, all right, Senator, you want to take my health care away, what do you tell them is the replacement plan?
I would tell them, look, I must have misspoken because I've never said take their health care away. But before I would end the Affordable Care Act, it seems to me that it would behoove all of us, especially the American people, to have a replacement ready. That's why we need to get started now. I don't know a single person, Republican or Democrat, who thinks we shouldn't cover pre-existing conditions. I think we have a little time because the ACA is working its way through the courts. The courts aren't going to give us a definitive ruling next week or maybe even this time next year. And again, my views are heterodox on this, and I understand the politics of waiting. But we need to be thinking about the next generation, not the next election. And
sure.
one of the things when moms and dads lie down at night and can't sleep, one of the things they're worried about is the cost of health insurance. So let's try to get with the Democrats and do something about it.
Sure. No, I'm not saying you said take health care away. It was the president who kept saying now repeal, and it's just I think a lot of people are wondering. A year and a half is a long time, depending on what this appellate court, decides.
We tried it alone. We We failed. Let's do it together.
Let me move on the president last night and his wide-ranging speech at that NRCC dinner. And so the president warned in one portion of the speech, he warned House Republicans that they should be, quote, more paranoid about vote tallies come 2020. Here he was.
There were a lot of close elections they seemed to, every single one of them went Democrat. Hey, you got to be a little bit more paranoid than you are, okay? I don't like the way the votes are being tallied.
Senator, is the president playing with fire there?
Well, that's one you'll have to ask him. If you're asking me what I think about our state elections, and I call them state elections because even if they're for a federal office, our states run them. I think our states do a pretty good job. In the last 2 budgets, we have given states extra money to try to beef up their security. I think having the states run the elections is a lot more secure when you're trying to prevent hacking by a foreign agent.
So you shouldn't be paranoid, to use the president's words.
I think our states are doing a good job. Now, are there some exceptions to that? Yeah. Are there some instances that you can point to of voter fraud? Sure. But I don't think it's rampant. I think our states do a pretty good job. That's just my personal opinion.
Let me ask you about the Mueller report, sir.
Sure.
The House Judiciary approved a subpoena to obtain that full confidential report. And so this is what your Republican colleague in the Senate, Lindsey Graham, just told us today. Here you go.
Who in the world wants to violate the grand jury rule? I don't. Who in the world wants to release classified information that shouldn't be released? I don't. Barr is going to tell us about the conclusions. We'll get to see the report, and that'll be that. I don't have this paranoia that my friends on the left have, that the conclusions are really not what they are, and that we're going to retry, and that Mueller's conclusions are not good enough.
Do you agree with Senator Graham?
To an extent. Look, I think we ought to let it all hang out. I'm okay releasing the complete report. Now, we can't violate law. If the federal law says you can't release grand jury materials, then we'll have to figure out a way around that. I also don't want to violate any national security concerns or get anybody killed. But I've got confidence in Bill Barr. I think he's going to release as much as he can.
Okay.
I would not be adverse to having Mr. Mueller, if he's willing, to come to the relevant committees and testify and let it all hang out.
Okay. That's significant. I think that's newsworthy, what you're saying. I want to, of course, just end with the border. I know you really wanted to talk about the U.S.-Mexico border. And so this morning you have the president threatening to shut down the border. And we did some digging. And your state alone did $8.7 billion worth of trade with Mexico. That was in 2017. Mexico is Louisiana's second largest export market. So what do you think, Senator Kennedy, of the president threatening to close down the border?
Well, the president, as we know, has a philosophy that if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly. He's very aggressive. I think in this case, he's overly aggressive. And here's why. If you shut down the border, the cure is as bad as the disease. Number one, it'll take probably a point off our GDP. Mexico's our third biggest trading partner. About 500,000 people legally cross that border every day. And number two, it's not going to do anything to stem illegal immigration, just closing the legal points of entry. People are still going to come. If we want to stop the illegal immigration, we have to do two things. We need to change the asylum laws. We need to do something, surprise ourselves in Congress and do something intelligent and change the asylum laws. And number two, I'd like to see the president sit down with the presidents of Mexico and the Northern Triangle countries, and let's see if we can come up with a specific plan. We'll put up some money in return for specific commitments from the presidents of the Central American countries. We can model it on the Plan Colombia proposal that we implemented with Colombia when we pretty much stopped, not completely, the cocaine trafficking.
Got it. Have that conversation with all of those presidents and come to some productive conclusion, perhaps instead of just yanking aid, which is what we've been hearing from Washington.
People are coming, some people, not all, but many people are coming here from Central America, not out of hunger, but out of fear, because their countries are corrupt.
No, Senator John Kennedy, I so appreciate you, and thank you for wanting to talk and have those conversations. I appreciate it very much. Let it all hang out. That's what's sticking with me on the Mueller report. Thank you, sir.